What's up, Sooner Nation, and welcome to another edition of the WhackoWeekly Podcast, where we're going to go over all things OU football from this previous week. I'm Steve Curtis, the voice behind Wacko Sooners. And, of course, with the college football playoff still on, you've got Alabama, Indiana, Ole Miss, Georgia, Miami, Ohio State, and Oregon, Texas Tech all coming up in the next couple of days. Some great football that we're going to be able to watch and have minimal stress. I hope all the true OU fans are going to be rooting against Alabama and against Texas Tech. But that being said, even though Oklahoma's not in it anymore, we still have tons to talk about. Okay, plenty of roster developments between transfers, departures, as well as some guys that the staff has been looking at. Some seniors have some big decisions to make about whether they're going to return for 2026 or if they're going to go on to the NFL. And a couple other big roster items that are kind of glaring at Oklahoma as they enter the 2025 to 2026 offseason. We're going to break it all down right here on Wacko Sooners. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to the Wacko Loop. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell button so you never miss an episode. Plus, you can follow us on all of our socials, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter X, all at Wacko Sooners for live news updates, some game highlights, and of course, some memes to keep it lighthearted and fun like we like it here in Sooner Nation. Again, if this is your first time joining us, welcome to the Wacko Loop. Hit those follows so you stay in it all the time, okay? OU content all year, okay? We are here all the time. Sooner born, sooner bred, right? So, first things first, transfers. So, staff's been looking at a few guys as we've been sending guys out, but we'll talk about these departures first. And I'm sure that everyone knows about who all is leaving. We talked about it a little bit last week on the Wacko Review following the loss to Alabama. Just some initial guys that were hitting the portal. Of course, we know Jaden Gibson, wide receiver, okay, redshirt junior. He was a four-star coming out of high school in Florida and didn't play a whole lot in 2022. Really flashed out in 2023, especially late in the season, and was a big component of the 2023 to 24 offseason, prepping that what was a stacked wide receiver room before he was the first of many wide receiver injuries for the 2024 season. And then, of course, 2025, he never really got back. And then with all the other guys in the rotation as well, coming off of almost 2 years of not playing, and then just his injury. I mean, he tore his patellar tendon, for crying out loud. So it definitely was not a minor injury. It was definitely something that was going to take a lot of time to recover, and it would appear that it did not work out. Now, we know that Jaden Gibson has not been a part of the OU football team since October. So this is not terribly shocking at all. He announced way back when, or the staff announced way back when, that he was no longer on the team. And it's, been expected that he's going to enter the transfer portal. I think he'd be a big risk for any other team to take him, given his injury history with that patellar tendon. A banged up leg can never be truly depended on for a football player. It really can't, especially at wide receiver or defensive back. You got to be able to depend on his wheels to go out, make the plays. But much love to Jaden Gibson. Hope that he does well. Best of luck to him. As for the next one, Kendall Dolby, senior cornerback. We discussed this briefly, but we discussed this briefly on the Wacko Review last week. Went the JUCO route initially, and then transferred to Oklahoma for the 2023 season. Balled out, really was a major component of the defense at Cheetah. Had some big plays, especially there against Texas in Red River 2023 DGs. 100 yards on the ground game, the legacy drive, 34-30, Nick Anderson touchdown. That game, Kendall Dolby had a lot to do with that game right there. And after all, in 2023, I've got it here, he had all Big 12 honors. He had 49 total tackles, 2 sacks, 4 PBUs, and 2 interceptions. Dude popped off in 2023. And it was a bummer in 2024 when in week 4 against Tennessee, he went and had a severe ankle injury, broke his ankle, and had to miss the rest of the 2024 season. And then everyone's excited for him to come back in 2025. I was excited for him to come back in 2025. We were expecting him to play more at corner instead of Cheetah since Kendall Daniels had come in from Oklahoma State. And he didn't come in immediately. He came in a little bit later in the season. I believe he first showed out in the Temple game in week 3. And then also played a little bit against Auburn in week 4. then as well as against Kent State and then against Texas. And then the busted coverage he had against Texas led to their only offensive touchdown in that game. So we talked about Kendall Daniels coming in at Cheetah, kind of taking that spot from Kendall Dolby. So then, of course, it was natural for him to play more at corner. But then you've got Cortland Guillory and Eli Bowen and Gentry Williams at those spots, okay? And that's going to make it more difficult for Kendall Dolby coming off of an injury to keep up with those guys and break into the starting rotation. Because remember, he was still taking it kind of slow during fall camp. So that being said, it's not terribly surprising that he's hitting the transfer portal. I think he made the decision, I believe, and this has been widely known, that he made the decision mid-season that he was not going to be returning for 2026, hitting the transfer portal. He's a really talented dude, got great energy. I think he's going to be fantastic wherever he goes. Totally understand why he's leaving. So go get him, KD 15. Go be great, buddy. Next up, this is the only one that really has surprised me so far throughout this first week of transfer decisions being announced. Kobe McKenzie, the redshirt junior linebacker, I guess. Yeah, redshirt junior now. He'd be a redshirt senior next year. But he was a 4-star recruit out of high school 2022 class, that first recruiting class that BV was able to salvage after Lincoln Riley's departure. He sat behind Danny Stutzman for his first 2 years, really started to play a little bit more in 2024. A bit more, was doing pretty dang good. Really picked it up here in the first 2/3 of 2025 and was a fantastic successor to Danny Stutzman at that Mike spot, green dot communication, just kind of commanding the field. Really good run stopper, honestly. Has some great stuff in the pass rush as well when opportunities are afforded to him in terms of the scheme and how things play out post-snap. Now, of course, he did suffer a groin injury against Ole Miss there in, I think it would have been week 10, if I'm not mistaken. And had to sit out the rest of that game, missed the Tennessee game completely there in Neyland Stadium, went through the bye week, came back for Alabama, played against Missouri, LSU, and then Alabama again in the college football playoff. But through those last 4 games after the final bye week, you saw his snaps slowly decrease in number, all right? He was playing less and less and less. Why? Who filled in for him after the injury against Ole Miss? Former walk-on Owen Heinecke, who and we're going to talk about him a lot here on today's weekly as well, just because there's a lot going on with Owen Heinecke and his eligibility. But Owen Heinecke showed up and ultimately was working better for the defense than Kobe McKenzie was. And that's not a slight to Kobe McKenzie. I think he's a fantastic player. He's been a great member of this team, not only on the field, but off the field in the locker room. Just a matter of who is producing more. He played his season low of 12 snaps against Alabama in the first round of the college football playoff a week ago, or a week and a half now, I guess. But ultimately, I think just Kobe saw the writings on the wall. He'd been doing great, but he was going to become more of a rotational piece, assuming Owen Heinecke manages to earn his extra year of eligibility due to the whole petition process to the NCAA. And it's surprising in that he's been an OU guy ever since he was recruited. He's been very patient, very focused on development, improvement. And you'd think that, okay, also considering his engagement to one Kinsey Hansen, OU softball royalty, for crying out loud, and her going on to the Oklahoma City Spark in the area, into the pros, you'd expect, since she's staying in the area, that Kobe would also. But I guess not, with him announcing he's entering the transfer portal, unless he goes to Oklahoma State, which I don't know why he'd do that at this moment in time. Give a couple years for their new regime to figure itself out, and then maybe they might be worth going to play for. I just did not expect such a devoted OU guy to say adios. I was not expecting that, especially since he was, at the top of the rotation there at Mike linebacker. I still think he would have played plenty, but of course, he decided that he needed a different opportunity to go and make his name and prepare for the NFL draft. So that's what he'll be doing for his final year of eligibility elsewhere. Next up, offensive tackle, redshirt freshman Isaiah Autry-Dent, 3-star out of high school in Mississippi, 2024 class. He played a grand total of one game in 2024, 26 snaps, and that was the only time he's seen the field in a real game. So, not really. This one is not a piece that Oklahoma is going to notice missing. And that's just simply because other freshmen had come in with him. Eddie Pierre-Louis in that same 2024 class. Then you have Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje in the 2025 class. And those three were all in the starting lineup in the back part of the season of this 2025 season. So with three other freshmen in around him and passing him, along with Deacon Schmidt coming in 2026, Noah Best in 2026, I don't see a world in which Isaiah Dent would have broken into the starting lineup and really made a name for himself. So that one is not really surprising at all. Next up, Caden Helms, redshirt junior, tight end. He played a lot this season because he dealt so much with injuries. Because first of all, he missed all of 2023 with a knee injury. He received an extra medical redshirt. And then he played, I think, only 2 games in 2024 due to a hamstring injury. He already wore, I think he wore his red shirt his freshman year, which would have been 2022. So 2022, a normal red shirt, 2023, a medical red shirt, 2024, had another injury. Then 2025, played a lot in the back part of the season. He sustained a hand injury during fall camp. So, of course, that limited him early on. He had a touchdown reception against Kent State in, it would have been week 7. No, is that right? Week 6, I think, because it was what? 4 games by, week 6, would have been week 6. He had the touchdown reception against Kent State. That was his first reception of the season, I believe. And then you still saw him play a lot. He didn't do a whole lot in terms of yardage. I think it was 54 yards on the season. His longest play for OU was against LSU in the final season game or regular season game. Was a pretty solid blocker, honestly, but was not super productive. And given the deficiencies that OU has had at tight end in the recent years, you just need to kind of stamp that, need to move on. I think for him, it would also work better as well, just because the years of injury and all of that. You just would love to see a fresh start come out of that for everyone, I think. Much love to Caden Helms. I'm going to miss Red Dirt Media. That he and Nick Anderson started back in the day. Both the OGs at Red Dirt are gone. So I don't know exactly what the move is from here on out, but hopefully someone picks that up and keeps it around. Maybe if Kip Lewis stays another year, since he's been on it in this 2025 season, we'll see Kip doing it. Hopefully. That would be a lot of fun. Next, Jacob Sexton, senior offensive tackle. He spent all of his first 4 years here at Oklahoma. He appeared in 10 games as a true freshman at left tackle back in 2022. He played through 2023 kind of as a depth piece before he kind of claimed that starting spot towards the end of the year. And then he played in the first 8 games of 2024 before sustaining a season-ending injury. And then, of course, 2025, he played only 6 snaps in the season opener against Illinois State before suffering another season-ending injury. So with the last 2 years being in and out with injuries and not being able to stay consistently healthy, that's just not going to work. That can't be the case here. And you're going to see a lot of that as kind of a running theme with the staff this offseason, just guys that can't stay healthy and guys that haven't been able to be productive are going to be said goodbye to. I don't think that this was a hate move on Jake Sexton at all. I think it was just a matter of, hey, dude, look, production, A. B, you can't stay healthy. Think he's going to be fantastic elsewhere, assuming he can stay healthy. He's got a great can-do attitude, always goes to work, does his part. Did not abandon Oklahoma after 2024's dumpster fire, so props to him for that. I expect that he will redshirt this year, 2025. To have his 5th year elsewhere. 2 more to go on today. So Javonte Barnes, of course, senior running back. No one is surprised by this one either. As, you know, he had his freshman year in 2022. Showed a lot of flash there at the end of the year. Then, of course, played a little bit in 2023 after Toby Walker went down and Gavin Sawchuk took over at running back 1. Then really was kind of the lifeline there with Taylor Tatum in 2024. And then, of course, he played the first 4 games of this season before sitting out everything else to preserve the opportunity to have his red shirt to go elsewhere for his senior year, much like a Kendall Dolby. And I think that so KD 15 and Javonte Barnes, their situations are a little bit different here because, of course, KD 15 had his injuries. Javonte Barnes was banged up a good bit in 2024. But it was a matter of this season, Torrey Blaylock was on the rise. Xavier Robinson was expected to play a lot once he got healthy. And when he did get healthy, he did. The 3 games where Xavier Robinson was fully healthy, he ran for over 100 yards each. So with Torrey Blaylock and Xavier Robinson coming out of the woodworks behind an older Javonte Barnes, it became pretty apparent. Okay, yeah, Javonte Barnes, you're gonna end up getting put lower in the depth chart behind these younger guys. And given how much he's sacrificed for Oklahoma, how he's been so dedicated and stayed here and willingly took a back seat for the good of the team and has been a great leader in the running back room, a great mentor for Torrey and X. When it was decided midseason that he was going to redshirt and move on from Oklahoma, the staff absolutely said, yeah, you've done your part, you've done the work, absolutely we will give you that opportunity. I don't think that was a difficult decision at all from the staff. Very grateful to Joe Barnes for all he's done for Oklahoma. Love you, man. Mad respect. Go cook wherever you go. You can and absolutely will. Last one on the departures list. So Marcus Wimberly, freshman safety. He was a 4-star out of Bauxite, Arkansas. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. Bauxite. There we go. But true freshman, he had shoulder surgery in June, was in a sling for several months after that. Didn't see the field at all in 2025. Odds are he'll get a medical red shirt for the 2025 season, and that'll still give him at least 4 years of eligibility. Not super surprised by this one. I mean, maybe a little bit, because clearly Brandon Hall recruited him with enough thought that, this kid could actually be pretty solid. I mean, 4-star safety, like that's a big deal. But at the same time, you've got Peyton Bowen returning. Odds are most like 90% likely Peyton Bowen's coming back for 2026. Then you've also got Michael Boganowski, Jaden Hardy, Man Robinson. You've got all those guys in, and then you've got Markel Ford and Nico Jandro coming in. Competition would be fierce for a starting spot in the lineup, or at least a higher rotational spot. So it makes sense that he would depart. But you never know at this stage of the game, especially the younger they are, with the way that college football has evolved with NIL and opportunities and all of that. You never know exactly what's cooking on up here and what players and their representation, the people around them, are deciding to do. But Marcus, go get him. Hope you stay healthy wherever you end up next. So that kind of wraps up the departures that we're seeing into the transfer portal. My overall takeaway with all of these, except for even with Kobe McKenzie going, there's no need to hit the panic button in any way, shape, or form. There is concern to be had in the linebacker room because, of course, with Kobe McKenzie transferring out, done. Kendall Daniels played at Cheetah, but, of course, that moves in with the linebackers. Kendall Daniels leaving, that's going to sting because that guy was fantastic. I'm actually so miffed that we only had him as a 1-year rental. This kid, if he'd played for Brent Venables for 3-4 years, oh, my gosh. I can picture it, man. Would have been art. It was art for the one season we had it. But then, of course, you may lose Owen Heinecke as well if he doesn't get his extra year of eligibility, and then Kip Lewis may decide to go out for the draft. So that would leave the linebacker room with Sammy Omasigo, Taylor Heim, James Nesta, and then a lot of younger guys behind them. And there's no shade to those guys. I don't feel super great about that. I don't feel great about that. If everything goes wrong and we lose Heinecke and Lewis in addition to Kobe and Kendall Daniels, I don't like that. So that's the only thing that really concerns me. Everything else is depth pieces or guys that just have not been as productive as they need to be in order to take the reins and take command in a starting position or a major contributory role at Oklahoma. Now, as for potential targets that the staff is looking at, I think there are 3 that I've been checking up on that are kind of bigger targets. First of all, tight end from Florida, Hayden Hansen. From Weatherford, Texas, he's 6'8", 269. had 30 receptions for 254 yards and 2 touchdowns this season. Good buddy of mine that I went to high school with, big Florida Gators fan. I actually called him earlier today and I was like, hey, what do you think of this guy? Because I grew up from Weatherford, Texas, so I'm thinking, ooh, I'd like a Weatherford guy in the lineup. But then I was like, so what do you think of this Hayden Hansen guy? He's like, he's all right. So, okay. He's definitely built like a giant tight end, which we could use. Maybe a blocking tight end. Then, of course, Colorado State running back Lloyd Avant. Humboldt, Texas, 5'10", 200 pounds. He had 90 carries, 417 yards, and 5 touchdowns this season. An experienced back. I'd like to see something a little bit more. Something a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit more production, stronger competition. But of course, we saw with John Mateer this year, it is possible for a guy to come from lower competition and compete in the SEC. It's possible. Now, of course, people are going to be like, oh, Steve, Mateer didn't play that well in the SEC. Guys, you forget, he had a broken thumb for the last 8.5 games of the year. So, or I guess 9.5 if you think about it. And then, of course, the third target that we're thinking about right now, Arkansas State defensive tackle Cody Segler from New Hope, Alabama. He's 6'3", 300 pounds. Had 35 tackles, 6 pass beatdowns, and then 5 sacks. Now, granted, Arkansas State, but who knows? Maybe it's just a depth piece, kind of like it was with getting Ricky Lolohea from Utah State last year. You never know. Now, of course, I'd like to see some bigger targets here, and I'm sure that as we get closer to the transfer portal opening on January 2nd, we will see a lot more. We will see a lot more coming out. So that kind of wraps up kind of transfer talk. We've got some seniors to talk about, just senior appreciation, really, and then a couple seniors that have some big decisions to make. So seniors that are out of eligibility, who are either graduating, declaring for the draft, you name it. Fabechi Wewu at right guard and then center towards the end of the year. Former walk-on dude. Holy cow. A Burlsworth finalist. Mad respect. Mad props. Then you've got Derek Simmons. He was a 1-year rental at right tackle this year. Rotated in and out with Ryan Foje. Troy Everett at center, I think, is graduating. Not sure exactly how that's all going to work out with the injury he sustained in fall camp. Or just before, I think, the Illinois State game, in fact, like a week before. That one's gonna be a sorry miss. He's a major leadership component. Team captain on the 2025 season, would go out, do the captain handshakes and the coin flips. At wide receiver, we're going to be losing Dion Burks, Keontez Lewis, and then Major Melson. Major Melson did not play a whole lot this year, so if you don't know who he is, that's just why. But definitely going to miss Dion and Keontez in terms of on-the-field production. From what I've been told, Major has also been a major, pun not intended, contributor to the locker room culture and just a great guy all around. Dion and Keontez were major points early in the season to get John flowing in the juices. Dion had a big game against Michigan, had a big game against LSU, and had another big game against Alabama in the first round of the college football playoff. Wow. The crazy catches that dude would make. That was the Dion Burks OU fans thought they were getting for 2024 before all the injuries had him coming in and out. And then, of course, he showed up late in 2025. Of course, that was due to a lot of the whole John Mateer injury thing and just what John was able to do and make happen and get the ball to Dion. And when Dion had his opportunities, man, he went and made money out of them. He really did. Now, at tight end, we're going to say farewell to Jaron Heinecke. That one stings. That man's an icon of Oklahoma football. Beloved by the fan base. His dog, Burger, even more beloved. Former linebacker his first 3 years and really just turned around and said, screw it, we're going to try something different. And he balled out and has all SEC honors at tight end. For a first guy first year at the position after playing on the other side of the ball for his first 3 years in college. Wow. And that right there, Jaron Heinecke's development for 2025 is a major testament to Joe John Finley and what he's been able to do in the tight end room. Give Joe John something to work with. Staff consistency at coordinator, guys to work with consistently in his position group, and he's going to give you something good. We saw that in Jaron Heinecke. So, Jaron, we're going to miss you, Burger back. Man, I need to get me one of those Burger hats that he was selling earlier this year. I need to get one of those. Then, of course, on the defense, we're going to be losing Grayson Halton and Dominic Williams there at defensive tackle. Those guys are awesome, man. I remember G-Baby was undersized, undervalued. No one really thought that he was going to work out. I remember a lot of people were mad when we recruited him. Look at him now after 4 years under Brent Venables and Todd Bates. Dude just went ham. Absolute monster. And now he's going on to the Senior Bowl. So, yeah, Grayson Halton, fantastic. He's going to be a massive addition for any defense he's a part of. Tampa Bay, pick him up, please. Actually, no, fire Todd Bowles, then get Grayson Halton. Bring John Gruden out of retirement. Bring John Gruden back to Tampa Bay. Please give Baker a great coach and a functional defense. I'm begging here. And then, of course, Dom Williams, massive transfer get in 2024, that spring cycle. Did really well in 2024 and really showed up here in 2025. Was a great leader on the defensive side of the ball. Just a massive impact on this OU defense. And, of course, at edge, Marvin Jones Jr., transfer from, well, I guess originally Georgia, then to Florida State before he came to Oklahoma. Really showed out in ways I was not expecting at OU this season in 2025. He really made his presence known early and was a massive component, especially when R. Mason Thomas was out in the Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, and LSU games. Marvin Jones Jr. picked up the slack on the other side with Taylor Wine, and they just went after it, and they got it done. The defense didn't miss a beat. He was a great pickup for the 2025 rental cycle. Kendall Daniels at linebacker, safety, basically cheetah, or not even basically cheetah. He played a lot of cheetah. You could classify him as a linebacker or a safety, depending on what you want. This one really hurts me. I love KD5. I love seeing that, because Brooke Austin, the Film Guy Network, you see him talk about every time he's watching OU's defense, he is looking for number 5, 6'4", 6'5", 240 pounds, and dude's moving out there like a safety. And I think Brooks even said at one point, he looks like one of the Na'vi from Avatar. He's just so big and scary out there. He just drops back and he's out there like, come here, buddy. I'm going to get you. And all the times that I've heard interviews of KD5 just saying, man, time is his enemy. He wishes he had more time here. That one really hurts. He was fantastic. In the tone-setting hit for the 2025 season where he laid out Justice Haynes in week 2 against Michigan, read the screen like a book, just went out, grabbed him, just knocked him over and walked over him. Oh, my gosh. I was at that game. I was up to the student section looking right down at him. He was 12 o'clock, and I heard that through the stadium. Oh, man. That one's a big bummer to lose KD5. And then, of course, Robert Spears Jennings at safety. Great program guy. I met him briefly. He probably won't remember me as I stormed the field after we beat Alabama 24-3. RJ's a great guy, fantastic safety. He had some big plays this year, especially that interception against Tennessee. Should have had, in my opinion, another interception against Alabama, but KD5 got called for pass interference, even though the receiver was nowhere near the ball. But RJ's gonna go kill him. And then, of course, the one that we are all really, really, really gonna miss, R. Mason Thomas. Like Grayson Halton, undersized, underappreciated, under-recruited. Everyone's saying that's going to be a bust. And yet his first step off the ball and his bend and his aggression made him an Oklahoma legend. His homecoming party in 2024 against Tulane, where it was sack, batted down, pass, sack, and then had a strip sack later in that game. Dude was a monster. And then everyone started looking to him all season long and balled out against Auburn in 2024. Balled out everywhere. Just made his presence known. He was the fourth quarter monster, and that's where the nickname, the closer, came in. And then 2025 came around, and he turned the closer into a four-quarter nightmare all game. He didn't just show up in the fourth quarter. He showed up start to finish. And my favorite moments of his... Actually, there are so many moments of R. Mason Thomas that I love from 2024 and 2025. Because, of course, you've got the homecoming drive against Tulane. You've got his fumble return against LSU. You've got so much with RMT. And then, of course, this year, the 2 sacks on Jackson Arnold. You've got the fumble return against Tennessee, which is one of the greatest plays in Oklahoma history. Just an absolute dog. Gonna miss him so much. But all these guys, all these seniors that are departing, they are going to be really great wherever they go. They are Oklahoma men. They are imprinted with BV and Todd Bates and Jay Valai, Brandon Hall, Bill Bedenbow. They've got some really good guys that have coached them up these last several years, and I couldn't be more proud of them. And they're all going to be fantastic wherever it is they go. As for a couple other seniors that we need to talk about, some big decisions, because we got Kip Lewis and Isaiah Satania, all right? They are redshirt juniors, both of them this year. So they are eligible to go to the NFL. And with the main hard deadline for declaring for the draft, I think it's January 15th for these guys since they're no longer in the playoffs. That's the hard deadline. So they've still got a little over 2 weeks to make their decisions. Now, from what I've been told, it's reasonable to expect that we will know what they're going to do within the next week, roughly. Could be 6 days, could be 8 days, could be right at 7. But ultimately, it's a matter of they're able to go to the draft, absolutely. But the question would be, would staying at Oklahoma benefit them in the long run in terms of their 2027 draft stock? So for Kip, first of all, he was a 4-star linebacker out of high school. And he's been a big contributor since day one. Didn't play a whole lot in 2022. Started seeing the field more in 2023. Came in for big moments, especially against Texas. In 2023, that goal line stand, he had a big moment or two. And then 2024, major starting role. Had the 2 Kip 6s against Auburn and Alabama. Kip 6 owns the state of Alabama. I don't care what the CFP result was a week and a half ago. All right? Kip Lewis is 4-1 against teams from the state of Alabama. He is the governor of Oklahoma. East Oklahoma. Alabama. So I've also been told, so in regards to Kip, the staff has put together a pretty substantial package for him, which of course that's going to play into these kinds of decisions from here on out, just in terms of moving forward with NIL and the environment of college football. But I think a 4th year under Brent Venables, under Nate Dreiling and Wes Goodwin, and really getting him just absolutely perfect at linebacker is going to serve him really well, and he will be a day 1 pick. If I think that will happen for him if he remains at Oklahoma for a 4th year. And looking at his numbers, just in 2025 alone, right? He had 76 tackles, had 4 PDs and 4 sacks, had big plays, especially in the Alabama game in Tuscaloosa, because he had that first sack against Ty Simpson. He had the other one on that final drive coming out of the 2-minute timeout where his leg had been cramping just before. Plenty of other plays. Kip Lewis is a psychotic maniac. And I know that's redundant, but he's an absolute maniac. He's going to come out there and he's going to kill you, man. And he's a cheerleader. He loves coming over to the student section and saying hi. He loves getting us riled up. He loves going out and being crazy. And everyone's telling him, Kip, you got to calm down. You'll get tired. And he's like, no, man, I'm going to go get him. I'm going to go get him and kill him. So, Kip, please stay home. Please. And, of course, Isaiah Satania, redshirt junior. Again, he was a 3-star wide receiver out of high school, which, I mean, I get it with his size, but his speed, dude, makes him an absolute nightmare. He spent his first couple of years with Arkansas, transferred to OU for 2025. He's been our offensive MVP. All right, because he played in all 13 games, had 67 receptions for 965 yards and 8 touchdowns. Dude was a freight train. Whenever you needed something big to happen, you could count on him showing up, because he really started appearing in the Auburn game in week 4 because he had those 2 OPIs. He had the legal touchdown that Auburn fans are still crying about. Funny, because you guys didn't even make a bowl game, and it's because your quarterback and your coach were not good, and you're still blaming us because, anyways. We tried to tell you your quarterback was not going to be any good. You didn't listen to us. But we're not here to talk about Jackson Arnold, who's already hit the transfer portal. But you had Satania with those big moments. Also, that massive reception he had on the final offensive drive of the game that ended up setting up John Mateer for his 10-yard touchdown run on the broken thumb. Then, of course, South Carolina, he had a big touchdown. Ole Miss, he had the 70-yard breakaway. Mizzou, he had the 87-yarder. And then, of course, the giant touchdown against LSU that saved the day, literally saved the day. And then a big touchdown against Alabama there in the first half. They put Oklahoma up 17-0. And then, of course, everything went downhill from there. But he was such an amazing addition to the offense, and I honestly didn't know what to expect when he came in. I wasn't expecting him to go crazy. I was expecting it to be the Deion Burks, Giovanni Gibson show. I ended up being severely wrong. Isaiah Satania made me eat my words. So, mad respect. I think getting him back for 2026 would be huge. Because think about the wide receiver room that Oklahoma will be showing up with in 2026, assuming Satania comes back. Isaiah Satania, Giovanni Gibson, Jermichael Carter, Elijah Thomas, Manny Choice, and Jaden Petit, along with Jasir Rogers coming in as well this 2026 recruiting class. You're going to have a lot of big dudes. Isaiah Satania is going to be the smallest one, and dude's fast, so he makes up for it. That wide receiver stable would be fantastic, in my opinion, because Giovanni Gibson started getting a lot better late in the season. Jermichael Carter was getting really good late in the season. Big boy catches for big boy yards with his big boy pants on. I think J. Mike and Satania, assuming Satania comes back, they're going to be two major focal points. And then Giovanni Gibson and Jaden Petit, Elijah Thomas. The whole group is going to be fantastic next year, even without Satania. I'd love to see Satania come back. That was the primary slot guy. And then see where it goes from there. And like Kip, I'm sure that the staff has provided the package for him to make it more enticing to come back. I think another year of production where the O-line will be better and the quarterback is healthy. Satania can go over 1,000 yards next year. I think it's possible. I think it's definitely possible. Another senior that we're looking at, Tate Sandell, I think that's right, because he could go pro this year. And ultimately, he is the most powerful man in the Switzer Center right now in terms of dictating his terms. Because with a weapon like that, who single-handedly kept you, or won you, because he won the Tennessee game, he won the Alabama game, he won the LSU game, or I guess didn't necessarily win it, because you could have won by just 1 point. But and I don't want to hear the crap from upset fans about, he missed 2 field goals against Alabama in the playoffs. Dude, that was a crazy night where everything just melted down, okay? He was a sure thing on all but 3 field goals this season. And he was 8 for 9 from beyond 50. That dude can dictate to the staff whatever he wants, and they will meet him there to keep him. So would love to see Tate Sandell return. Would love Captain Underpants to come back. I love that guy. I love his moxie. Love his attitude. So those are the seniors right there with big decisions. Hopefully Satania, Lewis, and Sandell decide to return, because those 3 guys are major, major, major keys on all 3 phases of the game. All right? Would love to get them back for 2026. Now, our final segment for tonight is kind of a big deal. So Owen Heinecke and his eligibility battle with the NCAA. So this is I think this might be the most important part of the whole offseason in terms of roster retention. So Heinecke is a redshirt senior from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He went and played lacrosse at Ohio State his freshman year of college in, I believe it was spring of 2021 when he played lacrosse. Transferred to Oklahoma in time for the 2022 season. Or wait. I'm not sure if that's right. Maybe he transferred. I'm not exactly sure the timeline. I had trouble researching that, and this all happened when I was still a wee lamb in high school, and I wasn't dialed into the recruiting. But ultimately, Heinecke has had he barely played in 2022, if at all. He played all 13 games in 23 and 24, I believe, on special teams. And then 2025, he earned his spot on the field on the defense and worked his way into a starting position later in the season, taking over for Kobe McKenzie. In his 2025 season, dude, like, he had 74 tackles, 4 pass beatdowns, 3 sacks, and a forced fumble, which led to the R. Mason Thomas scoop and score against Tennessee. People have been calling him the werewolf because he plays his best football at night. He's a great young man, great, and I say that even though he's a little bit older than I am. But great guy, fantastic interviewer, very thoughtful, and loves the University of Oklahoma so much. Now he's petitioning the NCAA for an extra year on the grounds that he played his freshman year of college in lacrosse and not football. So, okay, yeah. I do know a bit about his timeline because I even have it here in my notes. So 2021, he was a freshman and played lacrosse. 2022, he was a redshirt freshman at Oklahoma, wore his redshirt that year. 23, he was a redshirt sophomore at Oklahoma, played on special teams. 2024, redshirt junior, played on special teams. And then 2025, redshirt senior, played a lot of football. So then he didn't play in 2022. Okay, there we go. So moral of the story, his football career was 22, 23, 24, 25. He's had 4 years to play 3 years of football, when the rule is 5 years for 4 years. I think, now of course I'm biased here, so I'm going to leave the fan hat on. I think Owen Heinecke, given that he's only had 4 years to play football, wore a red shirt, but he's not getting the added benefit of that red shirt year. I think he should be given his extra year of eligibility as a 6-year senior because of that extenuating circumstance that he went out to play lacrosse, didn't work out for him, wasn't what he wanted. Then he came to Oklahoma, paid his dues, fought tooth and nail on special teams. In practice, he would jump line, okay? He'd cut in front of other linebackers and steal their practice reps. And BV would get all up in his face and yell at him, get so mad at him for stealing from his teammates. And Heinecke kept doing it. Kept making the most of any opportunity he could. Showed Brent Venables and the rest of the staff, hey, I'm here, I'm going to do the work, and I want to play. And in 2025, he got his opportunity, and he made money. He made it rain, guys. And this is a former walk-on, mind you, okay? He's dedicated. He's an Oklahoma guy through and through. And since he's been a walk-on, like, dude has not been financially incentivized at all. Now, of course, there's a possibility of that being the case if he's able to return for 2026. But, so what? Dude is a program guy. He can play ball, and he's only had 4 years to play 3. And he's done his best to work within the system that he's given, and he wants to play another year. He could go to the pros now and get drafted somewhere, but he wants to come back to Oklahoma for another year. Yeah, I love Owen Heinecke. I love this kid. He's done the work. He's dug his heels in, taking advantage of every opportunity. And he really is a great guy, great program man. And I really hope the NCAA makes the right decision, what I think is the right decision, and gives him his extra year. So NCAA, give me another year of the werewolf. Please. Man, I really hope Owen Heinecke comes back, or can come back, because I know he would. But we would love to see that from Owen Heinecke. Well, Sooner Nation, that is going to wrap it up for this edition of the WhackoWeekly Podcast, where we break down all things OU football from this previous week. If this was your first time joining us, hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell button so you never miss an episode, so you are always in the Wacko loop. We would love to have you, okay? Plus, you can follow us on all of our socials, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter X, all at Wacko Sooners for live news updates, game highlights, and of course some memes to keep it lighthearted and fun like we like here in Sooner Nation. Go hit those follows. Stay in the Wacko loop at all times. We have OU content pumping for you day and night, 24/7, 365, okay? Now, we will see you next week for the next Wacko Weekly, and who knows, maybe a Wacko Alert if some big news comes up. That being said, Sooner Nation, have a great week. Boomer Sooner.